Welcome back to Yerushalmi Pesachim. We are Pesachim Daf, which is Daf Ein Gimel Amud Aleph. Various limitations about slaughtering Korban Pesach for people. You shouldn't slaughter Korban Pesach for an individual. Rabbi Yehuda does not like it because there'll be too much meat. He won't be able to eat it. Rabbi Yossi allows it, providing he can eat a kazayas of it. It doesn't depend on how many people. It depends. Can you eat a kazayas on it? And a group of 100, if they can't eat a kazayas, then you can't shech for them. And there's machlekes b'shreinim, if you can shech for a group where one can eat a kazayas and the rest can't. According to Rashi, you can still shecht with kosher. According to the Rambam, you should make sure everyone can eat a kazayas. Okay. We do not make a group of just women, servants, or children. The reason Rabbi Yehuda, it says in the Pasuk, you can't slaughter it in one of your gates. So it sounds like you can't slaughter it beyond the Beis Mikdash. But it should have said Bisharecha. But the word Ba'achad is extra. He's got an extra drasha from it. So therefore, what? You should not slaughter Korban Pesach for an individual. What does Rabbi Yossi do with this? Do you want to say that if the Tameh people are one person more than the Tahor people, then that will be machriya, that will give a weighting to say the majority is Tameh? They're going to bring Korban Pesach in a state of Tumah because you've got a majority of one? Do you honestly think that? You see how he does it? But achad is going on that. You can't rely on the tumah of a one extra to cause everyone to bring it in a state of tumah. You need at least two extra. Now, Rabbi Yossi also dashes the word ba'achad, so he doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda, who learned that the Yisrael Shchit is Pesach on the Yachid. Rabbi Yehuda agrees Shem Ava. If you went and shechted Korban Pesach for an individual wrongly, it's effective. Ava b'shachat. If you did shech for an individual, and you want to ask now, right, should I sprinkle the blood or not? What do we tell him? Matzirnai is right. Do we allow him to go ahead and sprinkle? Very good question. We have no answer. Tani, we learned in the Brayz. Not for women, avadim, and children. They might not get up. They might get up to no good. Mess around. Women and servants, there's nurse, children. Who knows what they'll get up to? He learned he learned they don't know how to be careful with korbanos and they won't treat it right. Don't make a group of gerim for Korban Pesach because they're not expert in the halachas. Right? We're worried, now there are parts in Bavli where it says that they're very careful with halachas, but here in Yerushalmi it says they're not expert in halachas, so we're worried they're not careful with it properly, and we're worried it will end up being a problem and becoming possible. Someone who's lost one of the relations who has to mourn over. He's an Ainen that day. And if it happened Erev Pesach, Taibel, you can go in the mikvah by Eichel Pesach and eat Korban Pesach in the evening. There was a gezerah the night after Misa. They can't eat kodshim that night, but they allow him to eat Korban Pesach. Because if he couldn't eat Korban Pesach at night, we couldn't slaughter for him. And so he's mevatel Korban Pesach, which is a kores. So we're allowed to slaughter for him, and he can eat it that night. Someone hears one of his close relations died, and they've been buried a while back. Or someone where the bones of his parents were moved from one place to another. He can go in the mikvah and eat kodshim. Now back to Korban Pesach. We're bringing an argument about a guy who becomes a ger. Can you bring Korban Pesach straight after the gerus? Gesh is guy Erev Pesachim. B'shami Emrim Tovel. Go in the mikvah v'echos pischa le'erev, and he's allowed to eat Korban Pesach in the evening. Beis Hillel Emrim b'poshmin ha'arla, a ger who's had a bris, k'poshmin ha'kebeh, it's like he's come into contact with the dead. And he's tummy 7 days, and he needs sprinkling day 3 and day 7. So he's not allowed to bring Korban Pesach. He's tummy 7 days, so he can't bring Korban Pesach. Masnisa, our Mishnah that allows an Einain to eat the night after, is he was an Einain before slaughtering, or Ben Shchita Lizrika, between slaughtering and sprinkling. So the Chachamim allow him to eat from the Cohen at night, because if we forbade him to eat, we can't shecht for him or sprinkle for him, and he can't fulfill his duty. If it was Einain after the sprinkling's already been done, he's fulfilled his duty. So he can't eat from it. He's already had his mitzvah. He's done his mitzvah. V'tani came with anina. What is the length of time of anina? How long does it last? How long can he not eat kachim? Mishas misa bad shas kavura. From the time of death to the time of burial. Divrei Rebbe. Chachamim said kol hayom kulai. The whole day. It carries on the whole day. The day of death. Now, if you look at it, Ashkenaz Makulas v'chumas al Rebbe, you work out there is a leniency and a strict thing in the view of Rebbe. And Kudas v'chumas is Rabbanan. So Kudas al Rebbe, leniency on Rebbe, on one side, because Meis V'nikba B'shat. So someone died and he was buried on the same day. Adated to Rebbe, according to Rebbe, Eina Asu Ela Isa Shah. He's only forbidden to eat kachim between the death and the burial. Bevad. Adated Rabbanan, according to Chachamim, Asu Kalayem Kulai. Even the same day after burial he can't eat. Kudas al Rabbanan. There's a leniency according to Chachamim. Meis, if he was died, he was buried after 3 days. Adated Rabbanan Asakal Azim. Rabbanan is forbidden that day alone. Not all the days up to burial. Adated the Rebbe, according to the view of Rebbe, Asad Shlosheh Yamim, is forbidden to eat kachim for 3 days till the burial. According to Rebbe, it lasts all the way till the burial. Asad Rabbav Shem Rebbe Yechon they both said, why do Rebbe the Chachamim? Rebbe agrees to the Chachamim if the burial is pushed till after the day of death. He can't eat kachim only that day of Misa Bavad. Rebbe agrees Aninos Benatara is only the day of death. The Tani came with that as well. Rebbe Yemer Teda Lacha says, I'll prove to you that what a raya she'ein Aninos Halayla, the Aninos of the night after the day of death, is not Minatara. It's only rabbinical. Shai Amr, they said, Einen Tovel, Einen can go in the mikvah by Chavis Chol Erev and eat from Pesach at night, right? Because Aninas Halayla is only rabbinical, so there's no Gezeri, you can eat Kom Pesach. Now, Hare Aninas Yoim also as the Torah. Aninas in the day was from the Torah, and the mace is not buried. Once he's buried, there's no Aninas ben Torah according to Rabbi, even in the day. So you see, even in a situation where the mace is not buried, there's no Aninas ben Torah according to Rabbi, only the day of death, and not after that. The thing was, says no. It could be the Bryce is talking about a case. He was buried just at sunset, and that's why Aninas carries on to the end of the day and not at night. There was no period of time when he'd fit the burial well before. No, the burial was just the last minute. We can't really learn from here anything about the view of Rebbe in a situation if the mace has not yet been buried. The expression anina is a person sad and mourning about a dead body. The Yosef says, the people of Yerushalmi will be moaning and mourning in the gates of the city for all the corpses. So the Lashon Va'anu is talking about Avelos on the dead. Doesn't it say, with the drying out of the river in Egypt, all the fishermen will be moaning. Everything in all the fish will be dead. The lack of fish. So you see Aninos, which is nothing to do with death. This is what it means. There's no din Anina that asks the person to eat kosher as if he's tamei, only if it's for a dead person. Someone who hears later on one of his family died, that day that he hears it is like B'yom Kavura, like the day of burial. Various matters. Lekera, as far as tearing his garments. Le'ibol, keep some laws of Avelos. Of course, in Bavli, you find the differences. Does he hear it within 30 days or after 30 days? You find distinctions. Within 30 days, he has to keep all the laws of Avelos. After 30 days, he doesn't. He only sits for 1 hour. Yet with older people, they do that. They don't tell them that someone's died. They might wait a month and then tell them. So they don't have laws of Avelos for 30 days, for a whole week, etc. Now here, we don't mention this. Yom Shemiah, Kiyam Kivura. The day when one hears about it is like the day of burial. lekara for tearing, or leibul and for mourning, but lesfira shiva for counting the 7 days, but lesfira shloshim and for counting the 30 days. Velachol kachim, but as far as eating kachim, arei and gilikuti atzamis, it's like the day the bones were gathered. You're allowed to eat kachim on that day. Okay. Just want to see here. Yeah. Now the Mishnah we've learned, Likuti Atzam is gathering the bones, Tovel V'Eichel V'Kachim. You can eat kachim. Sounds like you can eat kachim straight away. Rabbi Yosef ben Shemachis, the tips are to explain the case. Shenikba Mishachashecha. The bones were buried after dark. So when it says Ba'erev, it means straight after gathering the bones, which is mashma in our Mishnah. But Zev said Tovel V'Eichel V'Kachim La'erev. Now again, the Simra Bryce, it says they can go in the mikveh and eat kachim la'erev. Zeba says day of burial and the day of the bones being gathered. Kvura acheles b'kachim. Are you going to tell me the day of burial you can go in the mikveh and eat kachim? We've learned an Aiden can't eat kachim. Amros we would tater b'shmir. He says no. Zeba said tovlin. It doesn't mean the day of burial. It means 2 cases where one heard about a death. Shamash meisla meis me'esmal. If he heard that someone died yesterday, he can go to the mikveh and eat kachim straight away. If he heard they gathered bones yesterday, he can go to the mikveh and eat kachim straight away. With the day of the burial, he cannot eat kachim. If an aron, a coffin, is moved from place to place, there's no din you have to have avelos when they gather the bones. That's all very well, but Aron shall even. If the bones are in a coffin of stone, it's like ground, so it's not being moved. If Aron shall was made of wood, then it does have this din that one has to have this level of mourning, etc. So I feel Aron shall even if it's made of wood, there's no problem on moving the bones around. Because as if it's stationary, it's buried. So what is a case of gathering the bones? This is moving the bones in a garment from place to place. So here you cannot assume that they're leaving the mace for a long time. You don't leave it for a long time. That's not considered buried. Yeah, I remember with my father, when they were taking some of his family from India who'd been buried, and they took them and reburied them in Israel. So you had to know what day they were reburying them, because there was this din of Avelis, whatever, of an hour. They sit for an hour. Moving the bones is what it says. It's taking the bones one by one from the grave. If they're already gathered, even in a garment, you take it whole, that's not liquid. You gather bone, after the meat is decomposed. There's no din of avelos for someone who's heard that, oh yes, they moved the bones of a relative. But that's only if you heard about it the next day. If you heard the day it was happening, then Nais calls a hearing, and he has to keep avelos till the evening. Okay. Now, is there a share? How many bones need to be moved? No, even a minimum bone. Okay. Now we spoke about moving things in a coffin of wood. Is there a din of moving the bones? According to Rabbi Yosef, there's no din of moving the bones. Kada, Rabbi Mana Hayre, Pascal, Rabbi Hillel, to Kifra, they move the mace in an aron of wood. He paskin likroya, he should do kriya lisabel amon kerebacha, because maybe the lachzar rabacha, that's called gathering the bones. And he also paskin, since he's a Cohen, he has to be careful shlali hitama, it's not to become tame with the burial. And although a Cohen usually can become tame to his relations at the time of the levaya sort of thing, but the lachem maybe like Yossi, who holds this is not called gathering the bones. It's considered buried already, and therefore it's not an act of kavura, so Cohen can't be mitame. Tiny resident Bryce said, gathering the bones, you don't start having big eulogies. We don't have various other mourning declarations. What's that? They say after Lavai Vesa Knesses, they don't Tanchumi Avelim. What's these comforting words? Mashenomrim B'Shur, they say in the row, they stand in the row after burial. Tani related to Braisa, Avalomrim Alen Devarim. You can say words. Mahu Devarim. Rabbanan Dekishrin Amen Kilusim, words of praise. Now, we got Machlis Beisham Beis Hillel with a ger, who becomes a ger on Erev Pesach. According to Beisham, he goes in the mikveh, he's called Pesach in the evening. According to Beis Hillel, he has to keep Shiva Nakim, 7 days, like Tamei Meis. Ma'atara de Beisham, what's the source of Beisham? It says, anyone, this is in Midbar and Midyam, anyone who kills anyone, touches a chalal, they have to be purified on day 3 and day 7. It says, Atem u'shvichem. Atem is extra here. But it's compared shvichem, which is the goyim, to you. Ma'atem leilit meisem. Just like you didn't have a din tumah ad shenichmastem lebris, till you come in to receive the Torah Matan Torah. Al shvichem, so your goyim, lo nitmu ad shenichmasu lebris. They're not tummy till they get to the bris. So therefore, what? You don't have to be matay them from tumas meis that was tummy before they became gerus. So anyone who becomes a ger at Pesach can go to the mikveh and eat straight in the evening, even if he's tummy mace before he becomes a ger. Ma'atar de Beis Hillel, what's the source of Beis Hillel? Atem u'shvichem. Ma'atem tonon azor, just like you need sprinkling shlish shvi, day 3 and day 7, if you're tummy to a mace. Av shvichem, so also the goyim to unin azor, they need sprinkling shlish shvi, day 3 and day 7 after gerus. So any guy who becomes a ger needs sprinkling day 3 and day 7, as if he's purified from someone's mace. Now, but now this drasha is not a clear drasha. There's been a Torah. It's an asmachta, a rabbinical asmachta. The Harav here by Yosef Gilu by Binyamin Shem Rab Moeda Beis Hillel Grilu Shemava Bazarak Adam. If you did go and sprinkle the blood for someone who had a gerus on that day, shehud, so it's effective. So you see, Beis Hillel only said the din is tamei midrabanan. In a Torah, he is tar. So b'diavad, it's effective. Nazir shenit mavasafek. And Nazir became Tamei out of doubt, Shus Yachid in private domain. Shus Yachid is fake Tamei, right? So here he's come Tamei as Safek, we don't know, in a private domain. Ve'eno Pesach, but it's not during a time close to Pesach. What's the din? Rabbi Omar, he said, Anazir Megalech, he cuts his hair and brings his kabbalas as if he was definitely Tamei. Rabbi Yochanan says, Enos Megalech, he doesn't cut his hair. Tanina and Taman, we've learnt in Nazir Kotzim when Ameshan has Megalech Halal. Any tumah the Nazir cuts his hair, Chaim and Alal Beis Mikdash. If he goes in the Beis Mikdash, he's Chaim. Kotzim when Ameshan has Megalech Halal. Any tumah when Ameshan the Nazir doesn't cut his hair, Chaim and Alal Beis Mikdash. He's not Chaim on Beis Mikdash with tumah, right? So it's partial that he's not Chaim a korban on Beis Mikdash when he's only tamei suffix tumah.
What hair can a Nazir cut?
Any hair, we're saying, he doesn't have to cut his hair. He's not usually allowed to cut his hair. But when he's becoming tamei, he starts again, right? Everything starts again. So if there's a tumah where he doesn't cut his hair, like reverse down with a mace, then he's not chayiv if he went to the Beis Mikdash with tumah, because that tumah is not such a severe tumah. Okay? Now, how do you know something? What sort of doubt are you talking about here when we're saying he shouldn't cut his hair? What sort of doubt is it? Rabbi Yoshia Rabbi Omar, he says, Reisha de Pirka. The beginning of the parak, in the 8th parak of Nazir, 2 Nazirim, one of them became Tamei Meis. We don't know which one. Now, we can't say they're both Tamei definitely. One of them's Tahor. They're both Tamei out of doubt. So they can't cut their hair. But a normal case of Nazir is Tamei Safek Tumah in a private domain, he's considered definite Tumah. And then he has to cut his hair. And Rabbi Yochanan Amay says, Under Hacha, the case here. So Nazir is Tamei Safek Tumah in a private domain. He is included in the Mishnah at the end of the parak. He's considered like Safek Tamei, and he doesn't cut his hair. And that's the way Rabbi Yochanan Paskin. Yachid Shanit Rabbi Safek. Yachid who's got a Tamei Safek. We should say Yachid private domain, but Pesach. The day is close to Pesach. Rabbi Amai says, you don't have Pesach. Let him wait a month. Rabbi Yochanan says, Meshachin knows that we send him out. We send him far away, then he's exempt from bringing Korban Pesach. Right? It says, Safek, is he mechayiv to bring or not? So he can't bring, so he should go out of the area to exempt him. But I say that fits in Rabbi Yochanan, who said, Nitzma b'tumas Pesach pras. If he's Tamei close to Pesach in a Tamna Suffolk Rabbanan, we send him far away. Since he can't bring Kom Pesach out of doubt, it's better he exempts himself completely by going far away. We'll see where that is soon. Community who are Suffolk Tameh and private domain on Pesach. Rabbi Yochanan says Yasser B'Sveikan. They should keep Kom Pesach with their doubt. They do it with Tahar Kalim, proper Tahar Kalim. They might be Tahar. And if there's individuals who are definitely Tameh, they can't bring it with the Tzibur. Could be the Tzibbur's Tahar. And their individuals are Tameh, they have to wait for the next month. But Rabbi Rabbi said Yasser B'Tumah. Should bring the Kom Pesach in a state of Tumah, like a definite Tumah. Rabbi Moshe Modi says Yasser B'Sveikan. He agrees that when you bring Kom Pesach, the Machmir Misafik to do with Tahar Kalim. He didn't say they can bring it as Vadai Tumah, Ela L'chumra, that if there's any individuals who are definitely Tameh, then they can do it on the 14th. We don't exempt them from bringing it in that year. We don't say a Safek Vadai is L'kula, to say that they should all bring it in a state of Tumah. We don't say that. Rabbi Yochanan Shem V'nah, Yisrael Arel, the Yisrael who's an Arel is Tameh Tumah's mace, Mazin Olav, we sprinkle on him for Paraduma. Shekem Adzana, we find Shekem Lavasena about Midbar Hazaya. The Jewish people in the Midbar got sprinkling before they brought the Kom Pesach in Gilgal. And they got the sprinkling Arelim, while they were still Arelim, before they had a bris. Asya, that Rabbanaya fits in. Command Amar, like the one who said the Jewish people came in, they came into Eretz on the 11th of Nisan, they had a bris. So therefore, they sprinkled the people while they were still Arelim. Because they sprinkled on them maybe on the 10th. That's when they start counting the 7 days of purity. They must have started from the 8th. So it would finish on the 14th, and they can bring Pesach Sheni. And since they need to sprinkle on Tamei Mace on day 3 and day 7, so the first sprinkling was on the 10th. And that was on the 10th. They were still Arelim then, because they only had a bris on the 11th. But however, Commander, about Sirim Alu, if you say they had a bris on the 10th, it could be like Gibla Azay Arelim. Maybe they weren't Arelim when they had sprinkling, because the sprinkling was afterwards. It could be they didn't accept the sprinkling on the 10th, only after the bris, maybe. Ravavan said, now even you're going to tell me they sprinkled after the bris, the Kalmarchive still, there's a raya that sprinkling on an orel helps, because Lai Manu, did they not count the days, Lahazaya, to get to the sprinkling? They knew day 1, day 2, day 3, they need sprinkling. So they counted the days when they were still Arelim and not had a bris yet. Therefore you see that Tameh can start counting 7 days even while he's an Orel. So therefore sprinkling should help even for an Orel. We have a story with the Cohen Orel, Shehiza. He sprinkled on others who were Tameh, and he was an Orel. But Yosef, they allowed his sprinklings. If he can be with Tahar others, he himself is Tahar Ba'azai. Back to the argument Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. Again, who becomes a ger of Pesach. Vatani Ken Rav Lezben Yaakov Omer is to rot Yoitos. These are like non-Jewish army people. Yerushalmi Syrian. They guarded the gates in Yerushalmi. And there at Pesach they wanted to become gerim. The Tavlo, they had a bris, they went in the mikveh, but Achlev Yisrael Lahav, they ate, they come Pesach that night. That's like the view of Beis Shammai, that a ger who becomes a ger, there at Pesach, goes in the mikveh and he can eat kol shim, he can eat kol Pesach that night. Adon Alach Yisrael. Okay, now, chapter 9. Someone who was Tameh, or was far away, when you bring Kom Pesach, and he couldn't come, so he has to bring it a month later. It's called Pesach Sheni. Mishay Tameh Derech HaChoika. He was Tameh or far away. But then asked the Sarish, didn't do the first, he asked the Sheni, do the second. Shogag and Nena, something happened, other items, well, asked the Sarish, didn't do the first, he asked the Sheni, do the second. Okay. If all people should end up bringing the second one, Lama Nema Tameh Derech HaChoika, why need someone who's Tameh or far away? He says, Elu, these people, for Turim and Hakras, don't get kares. Even if they're amazing afterwards, didn't bring it. Ve'elu, the Shoigeg and Onus, Chayovin Behachros, they have to get kares if they don't bring it on the Pesach Sheni intentionally. Now it says in the Pasuk, Tamei la Nefesh, Eli ela tamei la nefesh. Someone who's tamei, right? Tamei nefesh. He brings a Pesach Sheni. Shan, anusim l'shoigin meinayin. How do you know other people who are anus? They also bring Pesach Sheni. Talmud Lamed says ish river. Right, the double wording. Ad kedun. That's all very well. Rabbi Akiva, who holds you can always learn things from double wording. But Rabbi Shmuel, who holds no, that's just the way people speak. Then how do you know it? Tony Rabbi Shmuel. We see this. We bring the drosh of Rabbi Shmuel. Lo tamei nefesh karei derech u'chayka. The case of someone who's tamei is not like someone who's far away. Lo derech u'chayka karei tamei nefesh. Outside of Shavuot Shabbat, what's the same thing? Shaloi asa v'sarishon meyaseh sasheni. You didn't keep Pesach first time round. You keep it second time. I will include other anusin or shoigin. Shaloi asa v'sarishon. They didn't bring it first time. Yaseh sasheni should keep it second time. Okay. Now, Masechet Pesachim. What about someone who intentionally didn't bring it the first time? He can still do it the second time. Va'ish. Right, we learn va'ish with the hey, va'ish. The rabbis is amazing to include someone who is intentional. Anan tanina, we learned our Mishnah, shogag nenas. Someone's shogeg, and he didn't remember. And what's this? Now it doesn't say amazing can bring a Pesach Sheni. It says shogag nenas. But the Brisa, Tony Rabbi Chia, Shogag Nenas, Hazid. Then it says Mazid as well. Now if Mazid is machlokes between the Mishnah and the Brisa of Rabbi Chia, and according to the Mishnah, Mazid can't bring Pesach Sheni. Our review is Masis Amra came. And Mishnah is mashma that Mazid can bring. Though we don't mention Mazid here. It says at the end of the Mishnah, She'elev Term Lahekros, Ve'elev Chayam Be'echros. These are potter from Kares and these are Chaim. Ma'is La Chayam Be'echros. Who do you have that's chayav b'kares? Like Mazid, surely someone intentionally didn't bring it. Because if he didn't bring it b'shoigig, he's not chayav kares. So what do you see? That Mazid is included in the din of Pesach Sheni. Tamei la nefesh. Someone who's tamei. Eli ela tamei la nefesh. What about other impurity? Can they bring it first time, whatever? Tamei ziva, tamei saras b'nayin. They can also bring Pesach Sheni. Talmud Lamed says tamei, riba, to include all them. They can't bring it the first time, they bring it the second time. Now, if you're telling me other people could be pushed to Pesach Sheni, why does it say that? Ella, he says, Ish tamei nefesh, nidchana Pesach Sheni. Individual is pushed to the next month. But community are not pushed. And also, tamei ziva, tamei tzaras, other types of tzaras, or tumah, they're always pushed. Nidchana Pesach Sheni. Yeah, they're always pushed to the next month. Tumas avodah zara, somebody that's who carried avodah zara, also tamei ziva. They treat it as tamei ziva but tamei tzaras, and he's pushed. And the tzibur with these things, even the tzibur are pushed to the next month. Nita l'Yisrael ibnois. Now, the tzibur who don't bring the first Pesach because they were tamei ziva, they do the second one. Now, whether the tzibur at all bring Pesach Sheni is machlokes. If they were given permission to build the temple after Pesach, before the 14th of Iyar, they don't bring Pesach Sheni. Because Yachid Pesach Sheni, Pesach Sheni. The Tzibur don't do it. Rabbi Yehuda said Tzibur Pesach Sheni, they can bring the second month. She came on scene of Chizkiah. Chizkiah, king of Yehuda, Sha'asa Pesach Sheni. He made Pesach Sheni for everyone. It says, it says basically a lot of people were tamei on the 14th with avodah zara tumah, right? They served Achaz, the king of the father of Chizkiah, and therefore he passed for them to do Pesach Sheni. So the tzibur can bring Pesach Sheni if they don't do a rishon, and this might be like Yehuda. The tzibur can do Pesach Sheni. According to Tanakama, if they're tamei tumah ziva or tzaras, they don't do Pesach at all. Not the first or the second. The tzibur never do a second Pesach at all. Now, according to Yehuda, it says they did the Kom Pesach b'chodesh hasheni. It says 14th of Iyar, and they were pushed because they were tamei avodah zara. Tumas meis, you can bring it in a state of impurity. Tumah avodah zara, you can't bring it in a state of impurity. You have to wait for the next month. So the Gemara brings my legs down here. Some say Some say if everyone's going to be tamei on the 14th, add another month to push the Pesach by a month. No, we're not going to add another month just to get everyone tired. Manda, the one who said, you can add a month. Chaim, how do you explain Pesach? He says they kept the Pesach wrongly. Why was it wrong? He says, you know why? They added a month too late. Which month do we add? Adar. We don't add Nisan. Once Nisan started, we don't add an extra Adar once Nisan started. The problem was they added a year after they're already Mechadesh Chodesh Nisan. You can't add a month, you can only add Adar. Now, the Yehuda said, Chizkiah pushed the tzibur to Pesach Sheni. And that's like the opinion that Chizkiah did, and it was wrong what he did. Most of the people were Tamei Tumas Avodah Zarah. He added a month, but he did it Shalai Ka'eg, and he added a year, the month in Nisan. Then he saw most people were still not Tahar. He had to put them to Pesach Sheni. Because Tumas Avodah Zarah is not pushed away by tzibur. Right, now, it could be the mistake was by doing the Ibur because of Tumah. But that can't be. According to Yehuda, you have to do it. The people were Tamei Tumas Avodah Zarah. Right? Okay. If it's in like Rav Simon, Rabbi Zavdi, they found the skull of Arnon the Jebusites. They were Tamei Tumas Mace. So that's when they added the year so they could be Tahar before Pesach. That was wrong. Nevertheless, even if they didn't have enough to be Matayah, they're not pushed to Pesach Sheni. They would bring the first one in states of Tumah, because Tumah Hutra B'tzibur. See if it says, they started purifying the base of Mikdash, right, on the first of the month. On the 8th day, they come in the hall and they sanctify the area. Now, why did it take 8 days to purify the base of Mikdash? 1 day is enough. Various engravings which were done in the walls, and they had to find ways of removing these engravings. See if it says, he went all the way to darshan into Hashem, and not like Taras HaKodesh. He did a lot to purify the Mikdash. He didn't do enough. Cohen, on the other one, said, all the good things he did. He didn't put all his effort into purifying the base of Mikdash. Had he done with a bit more, he would have more succeeded. 6 things he did. 3 they agreed to, 3 they didn't agree. These are the 3 they agreed. He broke that copper snake which Moshe had made. They agreed to that. He dragged his father's bones of achaz on a bed of ropes when they brought him for burial. They didn't treat him with respect because he was a Russia. And they agreed with him. Gana's tavla shel refuas. In Babli it's like a sefer. Here it's called a tavla. He hid away some refuas clues. And they agreed to him. The front of them he didn't agree. Kid says to Lasses HaHeichal. He cut the walls, the doors of the Heichal, and sent it as a gift to Ashur, so they shouldn't see Yerushalmi. Didn't agree. Sasam is Moitzah Megichain. He blocked up a well near Yerushalmi, so an enemy army won't be able to get at it. They weren't happy. And Ibn Nisan ben Nisan, after Nisan already started, he decided to add a month to the year, make an extra Adar Sheni. Didn't agree. Now, most of the Tzibur are Tamei Meis. They can bring Pesach Rishon. If they were Tamei Ziva, they can't bring the Korban Pesach with Tumah. And according to Meir, if half the people are Tamei Meis and half are Tahar, the Tahar do Rishon, the Tamei are pushed away Sheni. Now, what about according to Meir, when half are Tamei Meis and half are Tamei Ziva? Hayat Tzibur, Chesyam Zavim, Chesyam Tamein. So half are Zav, and half are Tamei Meis. Avada Barav, he says Zavin Nasin Eisel Tamein. The Zavin with the Tamein, Ketmein Eisel Tahirin. So just like half Tamei and half Tahar, the Tahar ones do Pesach Rishon, the Tamei ones do Sheni. So if half are Tamei Meis and half are Zav, the Tameim can bring their Tahar as far as the Zavim, but Tahirin and the people who are Tamei Meis, Eisin Esav Rishon. They'll keep the first one. All the other people with the other tumah gets pushed away to the second Pesach. Rav Chona, he said, there's no payback, there's no recompense for a Pesach. So basically, the Zavim are not at all going to do Pesach that year. Now, Lacha Pesach Sheni was not said unless most of the people are keeping Pesach Rishon. Haya Tzibor, if you had a community where Ruban Zahirin, most of the Tahar, Milton Tmei, and some are Tamei, Mesim in Atahirin Ben Eshrin. Now, some of the Tahar ones died between slaughtering and sprinkling. It was Rika. What do we look at? Acha Shrita. Do we look at the time of slaughtering, where most were Tahar? Or Acha Zrika, or the time of sprinkling, where most are Tamei? If you're going to tell me Acha Shrita, Ein on Isin Betuma, then you look at that, then we're not going to keep the compass set of Tumah. We're going to wait for next month. But in Tema, you're going to tell me Achaz Rika, then Isin Betuma will keep in the state of Tumah. Hayat Tzibur. If the Tzibur were Ruban Tamei and Miyutan Tahirin, most are Tamei and a few are not. And on Mesa Ben not Tamei and Ben Shchidus, some of the Tamei ones died between slaughtering and sprinkling. So the time of sprinkling, the Tahar ones are now the majority. What do we follow? Do we look at the time of slaughtering, where the Tamei were the majority? Or Achaz Rika, where the Tahar ones are the majority? So you're going to tell me Achaz Shrita, we look after Shrita time. Aisin Betuma, then we'll keep Pesach instead of Tumah because most people were Tamei. In Tema Achaz Rika, you look at the sprinkling time, ain't Aisin Betuma, you can't because most people now are Tahar. And the Tamei ones will wait for next month. Very good question. We have no answer. Now, what is considered far away? Okay, what's considered far away? What's considered far away that passes you from bringing Kom Pesach? Meaning from Ideas in a way which is a distance of 15 mil, roughly 15 kilometers. Or can be the same dimension, the same distance on all sides. If at midday you are this distance, you can't reach there, you're part from Pesach Rishon. Rebbe Lezer, he said, no. You're much nearer there. You're just outside the gate of the Azara. And that's considered far away. Harav said, there's a special dot. Hey, on the letter hey in the word Rechaika. To tell you. It doesn't really mean it's far away. Outside the Azara walls, that's already considered far away. Rav Simon he said, there's an argument. What is the share of my dears? Harav once said, that'll give you enough time to come to Yerushalmi and read Kom Pesach in the right time. So as long as you can reach Kom Pesach that night, you can't be there when they slaughter it. As long as you can reach there to eat it, you're not considered far away and you'll have Kom Pesach. If you can't reach it, then you're considered far away. Rachona, with the other one said, no, you need time to come to Yerushalmi and sprinkle the blood with Yisroel before sunset. And if you can't reach it to sunset, although you can reach it for the time of eating, that's not good enough. Even according to the one who says that in order to go and eat the Kom Pesach, you have to be within 2,000 amas of the Tchum of Yerushalmi before it gets dark. You have to be allowed to walk in the town after Shkir when Yom Tov comes in. If you're not within 2,000 amas, you can't reach that. We learned in the Bryce, and if you're midday, my dears and inside, and you're weak, you're a person sick, he's not going to reach Yerushalayim. You're not far away. Are you going to be chayev? That's why it says v'chadar. He intentionally refused from bringing the Kom Pesach. This one didn't refuse. He struggled. If you're moedias and outside, so you're beyond the area. But you have a horse. You're going to be chayev kares. Talmud says no, you weren't there. He was far away, and therefore it's possible. So if you're in an area which is called derech v'chayka, you are possible, even if you have the ability to come. Now, if you're within moedias, before 6 hours of the day, you leave moedias outwards before 6 hours. So before the Zman Chiyav arrived, you started going out. Are you going to be chayev? You're going to be chayev. for not bringing Korban Pesach. It says the Chadal is you go away after the Zman Chiyuv arrives. Then you're Chaim Koris. But if it's before the time, before midday, then you are potter. They both darshan from one pasuk. Derech HaChaika. Sham, it says we come Pesach. Tom Tizbach Pesach Ba'arev. It says Sham with Maaseh Sheni. It says you should eat there before Hashem Elakacha. So we compare Pesach and Maaseh Sheni. So Chad, now we've got Machlokes Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer. Chad, Omar, one said you're far away from Maaseh Sheni means B'chutz L'Siyasa. You're away from the area fitting for doing Maaseh, which is Yerushalmi. So Korban Pesach, if you're beyond the area which is fitting for doing the Korban Pesach, which is the Azara, you're considered far away. But the one said no. The distance from Maaseh Sheni is Chutz L'Mchisasa. It means outside its area, outside the place where you can eat it. That means outside the walls of Yerushalmi, where the Maaseh is eaten. And Derech HaChaika is beyond the walls of the area where you eat the Korban Pesach, which again means the walls of Yerushalmi. Chavraya, the Chaveim, they said B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, V'isha shehu tar, v'derech la'aya, the person was tired, he wasn't on the way. Yosef Zeh Shai Berach, to exclude this one, he was on the way. As long as he's not reached the Azara, he's considered to be on the way. Rabbi Zayir B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, because Mazir, when the pasuk warns about Pesach, Umaskir, it says Rechaika. It has a lashon Rechaika, because Shul Einesh, when it punishes someone, Ein Maskir Rechaika, it doesn't mention this phrase, just say on his derech. Person of derech la'aya. So Rabbi Eliezer learns, if you're on the derech, even though you're close to the Azara, you're potter from kares. Now he brought a raya to the view of Rabbi Eliezer. The letter hey on Rechaika has a dot. So is this a support to Rabbi Eliezer? We can machlokes to know what are these dots. If the letters Rabba al Nakuda, there's more letters without a dot than the one with a dot. Yeah? The Chayta, there's one dot there. The other letters have no dot. So Adarash Aksav, you look at the letters without the dot. But Masechet is going to remove the dot. Imagine it's not there. The letters with the dot, remove them. But when the letters with dots are more than the letters without dots, Adarash Nakuda, you look at the dotted letters. But Masechet Aksav, you remove the letters without dots. Oh, Rabbi says, there's only one dot. Adoris and Nakuda, you darshan the dots with the word of the dot, with Salix and remove the other letters. Since the hey in Rechaika is Nakud, it's got a dot in it, therefore we remove the hey, as if it's not there. And as if you have the word Rechaik instead of Rechaika. And that means even if Ish Rechaik, a man is far away from the Azara, Ve'ein Derech Rechaika, he's not that far away, he's just outside the Azara. Is still possible from bringing the Korban Pesach. Okay, Rabbi said we'll stop here today.